Myron!
Ooh,
Myron!
What?
What are you doing? What you doing?
What you talking about? What am I doing?
You reading them nasty books again, right, Myron?
Everybody reading those nasty books, man. You scared the hell out of me. What you talking about, man? Wait, I ain't did that in about 2 weeks.
You called yesterday 2 weeks. What you reading? What you reading?
You scared the goddamn book, man. Dr. EnQi. I went on Amazon and got 3 Dr. EnQi books because I'm reading about melatonin and biochemistry.
What is, Myron, that's not even a, first of all, it's not melatonin and whatever it is that you just said. It's melanin and biochemistry. You can't even pronounce the word, so how you reading? How you reading, Myron?
I'm not looking at the pictures. I got the books right here. I'm looking at the pictures. You know, it ain't nothing nasty about this. So what are you talking about? I got all the books right here. What are you talking about?
Myron, you don't even know how to read. Every time we get mail, you bring it to me. You think I don't know that?
I went to I got hooked on Phoenix. Now, what you talking about? I was hooked on Phoenix, so I know how to read.
As of when? As of when? Because first of all, hooked on phonics, I believe it's for kids. There's no such thing as hooked on Phoenix. And if I recall, you're the same person that thought reindeer was pronounced reender, and you're the same person that thought pigeon was pronounced piggion. So it makes sense that you went to hooked on Phoenix.
Man, such a dumbass.
No,
you always trying to say somebody can't read. I know exactly what I'm talking about, man. I'm reading the books. I got the book. I got the goddamn receipt right here. I got the goddamn receipt right here for the books. What you talking about?
Well, you need to return them for somebody who know how to read them. And I still don't. It's probably all type of stuff in the inside of the books, Myron. That's how sneaky you are. Give me the books. Give me the books, Myron.
Hell no.
Give me the books, Myron. Give me the books, Myron.
I'm not giving you. No, I got these books off Amazon. I'm not giving you the books. Ain't that no?
Bye.
I've been in this game. Yeah. Your animals to the shit. Animal, baby. The gods have blessed us. We must act now. We must act now to save us, to save our souls.
Okay. Peace to the family. Yo, these lights is killing me. I really need to put on my glasses. That's better. That's better right there. Peace to the family. All right, how the waves looking today? See, the waves looking. All right, it looks like we got a little something. Okay, yeah, I need to cut that down, man. I need to cut that part down. You took off the do-rag to put on the hat. Yeah, that's the Bronx thing. I don't know. We need the waves in, but we ain't showing them to nobody. We're wearing hats anyway. I don't know. You could take the city out. No, you could take the kid out the city, but you can't take the city out the kid. Right? That's how that go. That's how that go. Yeah, Hotep. So we want to do something. So I wanted to start the discussion off with something that I think is fairly important. Right? I try to use my small little influence. I try to use my little tiny 5 minutes, my little 20 seconds worth of influence. I try to use my little, right, as best I can. Now, over the years, and I've been around some of the best that ever did it. Over the years, let's see, can we rock out with you? Over the years, we have had some very bright scholars, right? Over the years, we've had some very bright scholars that have done research on the N-word. Right? Over the years, we've had some very bright scholars. Now, we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. Don't think I forgot about that. We're going to get into, we're going to get back to that. Right? I know y'all seen, or at least some of y'all have seen, the clips being loaded. Clips are inserted into my gun so I could get the paper, never have to run. I got too much hip hop in my brain. So I've been detoxing myself off of hip hop. Right? I don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing, but I have stopped listening to hip hop. I have stopped listening to hip hop effectively. It's a handful of songs that still wind up floating around in rotation, but yeah, I haven't been listening to anything. But I know y'all seen the clips that have went up, right? I know y'all seen the clips that went up. So we're going to definitely get back into that conversation, right? But I'm trying to do as much as I can, right, during this time period. Now, again, I hope everybody's fasting, right? I hope everybody's fasting to a greater or lesser extent. Now, this is not the Dr. Africa. I don't want y'all to be doing the Dr. Africa, right? I remember when I first came out with the 40-day fast, and nobody was paying attention, really. At least not the elders, right? They didn't really, they thought, he'll be here today, going tomorrow, right? But it stuck. And so people started to bombard Dr. Africa with the 40-day fast that I created. Questions. Similar to how new people come into the space and people ask me questions about them. Dr. Africa was so angry about what I was doing. He said, "You're changing the definition of the word fast. Fast means nothing." right? You can have a water fast, but other than that, when you fast, you don't consume anything, right? But that's not how we do the fast, right? We've advanced the term fast to just be, because the world has changed. So traditionally, Dr. Africa is 1000% correct. All praise and due. He's one of the legends, right? Hall of Famers. He's in the Hall of Fame for the holistic greats, right? But just with the times changing, right? We can't afford to not have the nutrition. So fasting is basically just going back to natural. You know, that was the whole idea of the 40-day fast, right? Get back to the grains, the plants, the nuts, the seeds, the beans, the fruits, the veggies, you know, just get back to that. All right. So hopefully everybody's closing out the year, you know, and if you want to really get heavy with a fast, right? If you want to really go in, December 22nd through Christmas would be the 3 days that, you know, would probably be the most potent days for you to, right? So if you want to start now, or if hopefully you've already started Thanksgiving, right? Prepping your body, because you don't want to go into like a water fast or a dry fast without your body being ready for that. You want to kind of wind down. So if you want to do a water fast and go crazy, you know what I'm saying? Or go spiritual, not even go crazy. If you want to go spiritual, right? Any one of those 3 days or all 3 of those days, you know, if your life, if you're in a position to do that, right? If you got to work in school or you got children and you got a bunch of stuff going on, I wouldn't suggest doing that more than one day. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the 23rd or the 24th would be the ideal days, right? But you only need the 72-hour run. 72-hour run, you Gucci, right? And that's sundown on the 22nd to sun up on Christmas, right? But that's not for everybody. I'm not even sure I'm gonna do it. Just keeping it a buck, right? I'm not even sure I'm gonna do it. I'm already fasting to a greater or lesser extent now. I don't know if I'll be able to take it to another level, right? But I did want to share that because I know people are in different spaces with their spiritual journey, right? Yeah, come on, Lauren. You know, what is up with Lauren? Lauren is like my spirit, you know, like my spirit double or something. Like, yeah, that is, come on now. I don't even know what state you from, but that's definitely, that song had a whole era. Yeah, that song had a whole era. Like when I was in school, you know what I'm saying? Like that was when we was cutting school to go to the daytime parties, like the hooky parties. That was it right there. That song right there. Like that's how you knew where the party was. Because technically, you know, you didn't really know where the party was, but you heard the music and then. See, I could tell. I knew it. You had to be. Because that song back then, everything wasn't broadcast everywhere. So that song right there was like, that had an era in New York. But case in point, I'm hoping that some of the stuff we do lives that kind of way, right? I'm hoping some of the stuff that we do lives that kind of way and takes up some of the mental space that people, because we have a very, very vast mental space, but it's not unlimited, right? That's why this book here is so important. If P, then Q, right? How to act. If P, then Q. But it's important that we learn more about how our mind works. And that's really what we're going to get to, picking up where we left off yesterday, understanding how the mind works, because that's really all Kemetic science was about, how the mind works, right? And if it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, I'm not, right? They were into the anatomy and the biochemistry because the anatomy and the biochemistry facilitated the mind, right? And the mind is everything else, right? The mind is everything else. So all the other things, it starts with, well, I can't say all, right? Because you had 9 different classifications of spirituality or the body, right? So I guess if you remove the Ka and maybe even the Ka to a greater or lesser extent, right? Everything else was the gateway is to the mind, right? But everything facilitated the mind. And so that's what the whole idea is. The anatomy, the biochemistry, everything was about facilitating the mind. You know, so yeah, I'm hoping that some of the things that we do begin to delete, right? Delete some of these useless files. We have a lot of useless files in our hard drives that's being written into our DNA, passed on to future generations. So we want to start deleting some of that stuff. And where I was initially going with the conversation is, we've had some great scholars along the way. Booker T. Coleman, probably the most prolific of them all, at least popularly that we know, because there are plenty of entries, and we might pull up some real quick just to check them out. But there's a bunch of different entries on the internet about the N-word, right? And we've had a bunch of scholars like Brother Kaba, Booker T. Coleman, that have, you know, videos breaking down the N-word. You know, I think that I probably started that wave. I probably started that wave because Brother Kaba, he wasn't doing those videos. So now what we have is a broken record, right? We have just old floating around video clips. But if you don't have context of the video clips, you don't even know what really brought about the video clips, because a lot of the stuff is no longer around. But me looking ashy and crazy, looking super hood, very gangstalicious, looking crazy. I can't even stress that enough. But I was out there on 125th, and I didn't know we was creating vibes back then. Right? I didn't know we was creating vibes back then. So I was arguing, and this probably went on for maybe a few months, literally, until it got to a place where it was almost going to be violent. And so we just kind of broke it off. But there was a guy named Professor Larry that used to be on Sinetta's channel. And this is before Polite was even on Sinetta's channel, right? At this time, Polite and Sinetta hadn't even clicked up yet, right? It was mainly Natural Tahuti was on the channel. And he was doing a lot of, like, Larry was the stand-in. When Tahuti wasn't around, he had just grabbed Larry for content. So me and Larry had got into a argument about the N-word. And I was saying, you know, I was coming with the Naga, the Negus, the Nagar, the Nagaru. You know, I was coming with the ancient perspective. You know what I'm saying? Nagasaki, you know, just going into all of the various countries and historical, you know, the origin of the term being king, ruler, teacher, you know, carpenter, if you will, you know, all of those different terms, God, you know, the divine, Nagas, and it's just all of those terms. And Larry was going into how none of that mattered because the white man, when he captured us, you know, he changed it to what it is. And so now it means ignorant and this, and that. And so many people been killed, and the last word they heard when they was getting hung was nigger and blah, 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 blah. Right. Oh, I didn't say it. And I told myself I wasn't going to say it, but hopefully we put out a vibration with this video where we change, you know, change the terminology. Right. So I got till 2025, even though I've been off the word. Right. Even getting my children to take the new word to school with them. Right. So I got the middle school and the high school, you know, I done already injected the new N-word into the mix in the middle school and the high school. So we're going to see if it takes root. But I had Caleb take it to his middle school, and I had Chase take it to the high school. So we're going to see. I'm not sure if their personalities are strong enough to make it stick, but you know, we're gonna do what it do. But anyway, we had so much back and forth about it. Other people got involved, and then pretty soon Sonetta started asking Professor James Smalls and Booker T. Coleman and blah blah blah, other people to chime in on the conversation. And I think now people are ready because of the climate, the sign of the times, and just the I don't even have words to express, because I could say the hunger or the longing for, right? But I don't even think those would be the right terms. But there's something happening. There's something happening, and it's global, right? It's something happening, and it's global, where people are really trying to get back into their spirituality, right? But the thing is, people are trying to find, they're trying to take things back to their roots, right? So what I was saying is, we've had a lot of brothers, a lot of scholars that have looked at the N-word, and they've had the debates about, you know, Naga, Negas, you know, or just the hard ER. And I think that the problem now, here's the beauty of it. It's probably the only thing that over the last 400 or 500 years that Black folks have fought for, which is unique, right? It's the only thing that they fought for. The only thing, right? The only thing. You got to think about that, right? You can be violated in any type of way, but that hard ER coming from somebody that's not a non-Black person, if they hit you with the hard ER, it's up. It's up. And that's why I know that the word is special, because people who you could kill their babies, rape their mamas, and they won't do anything. They'll stand aside and watch or complain, or nowadays they'll videotape it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they ain't gonna do nothing. If you call them that hard ER, ooh, it's up. And then other people will be like, what he said? And they jumping in too. Like, so it's something about that word. Yeah, it's something about that word. So the thing is, I think we need to just take it all the way back and use the word. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing. If you notice, last video, that's the only word I used. I didn't use the N-word. I just used Netchers. Right? That's the origin of the term. That's the origin of the word, is Netcher. That's where it comes from. Right? So it goes from the Kemetic to the Sumerian. It goes from the oldest language to the second oldest language. Right? So it goes Netta or Netcher and Netcheru. Right? So it goes from God and gods, plural, Netta or Netcher, and Netteru or Netcheru, right? To the Sumerian, which is Nagar and Nagaru, right? It goes from the Netchers to, or the Netcheru or the Netcheru to the Nagaru, right? And the thing about the Sumerian is, the Sumerian, here's the big problem with the Sumerian, and this is why you get a lot of con men jump in that space, right? So my name is EnQi, but you don't see me running around looking like Billy Crystal, right? Looking like your man Billy Crystal out here. Because it's too fluid. It's too fluid. The Sumerian culture was a non-culture. The Sumerian culture was a non-culture, right? Because the Sumerians had cuneiform, right? They had cuneiform, but the problem is there's no actual proof of a actual, I ain't gonna say there's no proof, but because I'm sure they had their own dialect. I'm sure they had their own dialect, but cuneiform was a script that multiple different cultures used. It was widely used in Kemet, right? So all of those places, they used it as a script, right? And as a script, I mean, you could use it with your own language, right? You could use it with your own dialect. So it's not necessarily something that you know, it's not something that you can really button down a certain type of way. So you get a lot of people that want to play games with history or manipulate, they gravitate towards that. They gravitate towards that because you can manipulate the text. Because a lot of what's left is records of writings, but you don't know necessarily who's doing the writing or to whom they were writing, right? You know how to read it, but it's almost like a whole culture without a context. You know how you might have a word out of context, but that's like a whole culture with no context. So people can jump in, grab that culture and give it a context and go, oh yeah, this is the missing Europeans that created the African culture, or these are the aliens that created the African culture. Look, I got proof right here. Right? And then they will show you the Sumerian or the cuneiform, and they'll show you some tablets and stuff. And then they'll switch that right out on you and start showing you like little green men or alien looking, demon looking things. Right? And you go, wait a minute, hold on. How you just switch that out for aliens? And these same tablets, you know, they did, you know, they made pictures of themselves like people. You know, they actually look like people. You know, they actually, as they were doing these, they also have tablets of them. Now, you know, the artistic detail and all that is a little crazy, but you can still see these people. Right? People wearing some wild outfits, you know what I'm saying? But people nonetheless. So, you know, you have to really take that whole culture with a grain of salt, especially when you age and date everything. It fits right in between, you know, what later came as the Paleo Hebrew, right? The Paleo Hebrew, and then the Hebrew and all those other things. Right. And then you have the Arabic. And this is the reason why I was showing you the Arabic, the Syriac, the Greek, and the Hebrew. They're all the same. They're all the same, just different people, different dialects. So it's like putting a song out. You know what I'm saying? Putting a song out, and then people from different places added their own. You know, they added their own juice to it, their own drip to it, you know, how they interpreted it, right? But the Arabic looks so foreign to the Hebrew. If you don't see the alphabet, you don't really get the fact that this came from this, right? So because we have the Paleo Hebrew, and so many people have, I don't want to insult anybody, at least not yet anyway, right? But initially, with the elders, let me say that, with the elders, they were doing their best to bring back the historical information, blah, blah, blah. That kind of devolved. That devolved during the era of the debates into just looking intelligent. You know what I'm saying? And that's a wave. I ain't gonna say I started, but I ghost wrote it. I ghost wrote it, you know what I'm saying? But Polite started the wave because we was having some conversations about Reggie and them one day, and he was telling me how deep they are with the Kemetic studies and all that. And I said, bro, they ain't no different than the Hebrew Israelites on 125th. And he was like, what you mean by that? I said, yo, back in the days, I joined up with the Hebrew Israelite One West. I was up in there. They charged $25. I don't know what it is, you know, but this is back. They charged $25 to go up there. And my whole thing was I wanted to learn the Hebrew language. And I thought Hebrew Israelites were studying Hebrew language, but they wasn't, right? So I was disappointed after a couple days when I learned they only knew like hi, peace, yes, and no, I was like, oh, I'm out of here. I know more Hebrew than them already. So I was like, yeah, so they ain't no different. These guys running around talking about they Kemetic scholars, they don't know the Metal Netcher. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, they don't know it. Start asking them questions. And then he started going on the platform, challenging everybody that was a Kemetic scholar to read the Metal Netcher. And so it got popular from there, and everybody started studying how to read the hieroglyphs, right? And that's a beautiful thing, period. However it started, like the trend to do that, for whatever reason, I never took up the trend. You know what I'm saying? I stuck in my own science universe. I let them run, let folks go crazy with that. But that's a beautiful thing, no matter how it started, right? But I think people forgot, because it wasn't like when the elders was out teaching it. The Theophilo Bangers and all of the people from that generation, they were really passionate about reconnecting the people with their lost history. At this point in time, it's really more about, being popping, like being hot, because we was creating our own culture, which is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you say about Sa, you always got to thank him for that, because he was behind the scenes, creating this this culture of intelligence, where instead of fighting with knives and guns, we could fight with intelligence and information. Even though that has its limits, that still was a huge difference than what the streets had to offer. So I'm always gonna love and respect him for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what. That's why Size is the OG. You know what I'm saying? Period. But in the midst of that, it became so important to be able to be like, yo, I could read the Metal Netcher. You know what I'm saying? Like, people forgot that you wasn't supposed to be reading the Metal Netcher. You wasn't supposed to be reading the Metal Netcher. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Metal Netcher wasn't for you to read. The Metal Netcher wasn't for living people. Right? The Metal Netcher was literally what it says it was. It was the word of the gods, right? The gods was not people. The gods was energy. Right? So this is why in the books we talk about it. Yeah, I got to catch up in these books. But we talk about stone, right? So everybody has, anything that's composed of atoms, right, has a signature vibration, right? You have a frequency. You have an electromagnetic signature. That electromagnetic signature is unique. That's why we all have fingerprints, eye prints, right? Tongue prints. Everything about your body is unique, right? Your circulatory system, your capillaries especially, right? Everybody's body is unique, right? Because we all have a unique electromagnetic signature. Now, that's not new. They knew that back then, right? That was a part of your whole spiritual thing, right? It was a whole spiritual, text, the whole, different aspects, right? And so back then it was called the Ren, right? The Ren. And they threw that into like cartoons and comic books and movies and stuff like that. You see like the sorcerer or the magician, they know how to control your body by learning your secret name, or, and then you had like different real systems. So we got cartoons, comics, and things like that. And then you have real systems where, like martial arts, for instance, martial arts it depends on what you're learning, but some martial arts systems, they still have certain words of power, right? Where certain words is used along with, you know, what you're doing is certain words and sounds, you know, to stop your attacker or to help you defend yourself against your attacker. Then you had certain religious groups, right? Certain religious groups, they understood the power of certain words and sounds. And then you had certain satanic groups that were trying to really figure some of this stuff out. And largely, a lot of these things have bled into, you know, the music business, right? A lot of these things have bled into the music business, and they perfected it with the Beatles, right? The Beatles was a mass. Oh man, you know, I don't even know why I'm talking about this. This is what the Netchers do. That's why that book is no longer available. If you got Rise of the Black Culture Vultures, you lucky. But I shouldn't even put that book out, right? But so the Beatles was a global experiment of sound science, right? So the Beatles came out of Germany. They were perfecting the craft of sound science and mass hypnosis and brainwashing through the Beatles, which is the reason why they were named the Beatles, right? Because the Beatles is Kepra, right? That's my middle name, right? That's the Beatles, right? The Beatles is Kepra, right? The God that constantly recreates. So, so the science of sound and understanding creation, right? So understanding that movement, time, space, light, and sound exist in the mind, right? But sound, vibration, or mechanical waves is the largest influencer of how your neurology, how your neural networks comes together in the physical sense, and how we interpret light, sound, blah, 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 right? The only thing that really supersedes sound is smell, right? But the thing with smell is we don't really have control over smell. We don't have control over smell like we do over sound, right? We got a voice box to create sound, right? We can't really we can't consciously create smell, you know, or people would, that'd be, you know, art would look vastly different, right? Art would look vastly different, even though there are some movie theaters where they try to give you a smell experience, right? They got movie theaters where the chairs move and all that, and they pump out, you know, gas, but they're threading the line with what's legal and what's not legal. But yeah, y'all guys can look up the Beatles and go a little bit deeper into that research on your own. You know what I'm saying? That's hot. That's a hot conversation, especially with what's going on right now. Right? So when you learn, right? When you learn a few things, right? So first things first, when you learn that the first record label is Sugar Hill, right? So first things first, the mound, right? Ptah, right? Sugar, right? That's like our kryptonite, right? The nickname Harlem Sugar Hill because that's where the cocaine, the heroin, and all that came through, right? If you ever been to Harlem, you know that's like a big hill. 145th Street, it leads you up to like, it's still Manhattan, but it seemed like it's another world, right? Because 8th Avenue at the bottom of the hill, the valley, right? The bottom of the hill is where all the black folks are. Then when you start going up the hill, it was Jamaicans and Caribbeans. And by the time you get to the top of the hill where Broadway is, that is Dominicans and Cubans and just Spanish. Like you done went into a whole nother place. So you didn't travel through like 2 countries by going from 8th to Broadway. Because in the middle, St. Nicholas and all that, that was all like Jamaicans. That was like little Jamaica right there. So that's where all of the weed and that type of weed and dust was between 8th Avenue and St. Nicholas. When you go past St. Nicholas, it's cocaine and heroin. That's Sugar Hill. Just so you know what Sugar Hill is. Because I think that without the history of a lot of stuff that's going on in the world looks blurry. A lot of stuff that's going on in the world looks blurry. And my dad was he was a big figure in that universe, right? Puffy's dad, Diddy, Puffy's dad was a figure in that universe. He wasn't as big a figure, you know what I'm saying? But he was a hustler in that universe. So you got to know the history of stuff just to really try to understand what's going on now. So the music business comes from Germany. It was either UMG or BMG. We discussed it already. They gave the first fake record label, Sugar Hill Records, imprint record label, the first, the fake out, right? And then the hip hop came from a military agent. I ain't gonna say agent, but the term hip hop, right? Hip hop was a brother that it was started by a brother that was on his way to the military. So I ain't gonna say he was a military agent, like he was somebody that was planted in the community, but it just so happens that he started the chant because he was on his way to the military and he was excited about it, and he was on the mic and hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. Then I think it was Lovebug Starsky or one of them who grabbed it and flipped it and bounced it to the hip, did the hippity hip hop, and then it took off like that. But the first guy who initially did it was on the military, and he was doing military cadence with it on stage to the beat, right? So you got to understand this whole thing is one big, psy-op to a greater or lesser extent. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I think that I'm saying all that to say, I think that the psyop has probably I think the psyop went too far. It is people can be pushed, but to only to so far. This is why Kamala and them lost the election, right? Because they had pushed the buck way too far. Once they put those laws out there and said, we want to be able to have the children in elementary school, middle school, high school, to be able to make decisions for themselves about having sex changes without the parents. But at the same time, we want it to be legal for the teachers to be able to influence the children's decision, right? So we want the teachers to be able to give them, reading material and blah, blah, blah. But we don't want the parents to be able to I think that kind of that woke everybody up. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't care about Biden's son doing coke. We don't care if Trump is grabbing vaginas. What is she trying to do with these kids in the school program? What is that? We're not voting for that. So you had a record turnout of people voting, and it wasn't everybody voting for Trump. It was mostly people voting against Kamala. If that makes sense to you, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't everybody, you know what I'm saying? I was voting for Trump, but I was also voting against Kamala. But most of the people I know, especially black folks that did not vote for Kamala, they weren't really pro-Trumpers. They was voting against Kamala, right? They was voting against what they was trying to do, because most people don't really get into international politics and economics and all this and all that. It came down to inflation, grocery prices, and gas prices, and what they was trying to do with the kids in school. And I think that same thing is happening with the music, right? Kanye made such a big deal that people started to listen and started to pay attention to some stuff, right? Some stuff was old and outdated. Some stuff was super ridiculous, but people started to paying attention. And now you have the situation where, you know, Diddy is in his situation, you know, Young Thug, Dirk, you know, you just have all of these figures that are in precarious situations, and people are now like snapping out of it to a greater or lesser extent because it's been pushed too far, right? You promoted the lyrics, you made billions of dollars off the lyrics, and now you want to arrest these people off the lyrics, or you want to arrest them for living out the lyrics. Right? So you're arresting the sex, drug, and party people for sex, drugs, and parties, right? You're arresting the quote unquote gangster artists for gangster lifestyle, like, but you've already made all the money, and nobody's arresting the executives that have facilitated this or made the profit, that profiteered off of this. So people are just having an aversion. And I think that that's pushing people to go, wait a minute, what have we been led away from? We know what we've been led towards. We've been led towards debauchery. We've been led towards the violence, right? The self-violence, right? Whether that's killing people in your community or killing yourself with toxic chemicals, right? Committing suicide, you know, almost like living in an out of body kind of way, because we're in our bodies, right? But we've been kind of like bred to this hybridized victim mentality where we are not responsible for ourselves. Like, you know, we're poisoning ourselves, wondering why are the supermarkets selling this food and blah, 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 blah. And why are the kids eating this and that? Because you're feeding it to them. You're feeding it to yourself. You're going shopping. You know what I'm saying? Like, so people are now looking to get back to the roots of things. And so with that being said, I think it's only right that we take the N-word back, right? We take the N-word back. So I'm asking everybody that rock with me just to take the N-word back to Netchers, right? To Netchers, right? That's all. And it fits and it works and it's better than ninja. It fits, it works, and it's better than ninja. Because a lot of people, when they weaning themselves off, because we addicted to the word. We addicted to the word like crackheads, like heroin addicts. We addicted to the word, right? There's been plenty of people that are a million times smarter than me, more influential than me, and more money, like more everything than me, that have tried to get people to stop using the N-word, right? People have attempted to get me to stop using it when I was in my 20s and 30s, right? And it never worked, because Either they just wanted you to go cold turkey. It's kind of like cigarettes or drugs. Seriously. They want you to go cold turkey, which doesn't work. You can't go cold turkey on any addiction, right? That's why most addiction programs fail, because you can't go cold turkey, right? You have to replace it with something. You have to replace addiction with something else, because you have to understand what's going on. Drugs doesn't get you high. Cocaine doesn't get you high. Heroin doesn't get you high. Pills don't get you high. What they do is they speed up or slow down your already existing neurochemistry, right? So they're going to speed up the amount of opioids that your brain produces. They're going to speed up the amount of cannabinoids your body produces, the amount of dopamine that your body produces. Like the pharmacopoeia exists within you, right? The pain receptors exist within you already, right? So it's the same with all addiction. It all comes down to neurochemistry, biochemistry, whether it's a drug that facilitates that chemistry for us, whether it's a person that facilitates that for us, whether it's a situation, or maybe it's not a specific person, right? Because we those of us that are bad at relationships, we keep picking the same type of people over and over to be in relationships with, because we're addicted to a set of feelings, right? The first thing we got to do is realize that we're addicted to the set of feelings, not the person, right? We're addicted to the set of feelings, not the situation. We're addicted to a set of feelings, not the drug. We're addicted to a set of feelings, not the word or the expression, right? So then we could find a way to replace it once we realize what's going on. Like when I was in high school, I used to smoke cigarettes like crazy. You know what I'm saying? What got me out of that was books. You know what I'm saying? And then not just books, but hanging out in the bookstores, right? Because you got to get away from everybody that facilitates your addiction. You know what I'm saying? Like people are the demon. You could see the demon when you're dealing with addiction. You can see the demon, right? When you smoke cigarettes and everybody know you smoke cigarettes, so you got a bunch of people around you that smoke cigarettes or weed. You know what I'm saying? You smoke weed. Weed is worse, right? Well, now cigarettes is getting to weed prices, so they both in the same space. But when you got habits, you have friends that you collect with those habits, right? And it gets to a space where people get funny with the money, right? If you always the guy with no cigarettes, people going to stop wanting to share cigarettes with you. They're going to lie and be like, oh, this is my last cigarette. Here, I'll give you half. You know, I'll bust you down. I ain't got no extras. They got a whole pack of cigarettes. They got a carton of cigarettes, but they ain't sharing them with you because you ain't never got no cigarettes, right? Or when it's time to smoke weed, they're like, I'm getting ready to run to, somewhere. They ain't going nowhere. They're going in the house to smoke by themselves because you never have any money to chip in. You know what I'm saying? So they get ready to. But when you tell those same people that been trying to duck you, like you like, yo, I ain't got no cigarettes, man. I need a cigarette. I ain't got no money for weed. When you tell those same people that been trying to duck you because you always need to share that you're quitting. Nah, I don't smoke cigarettes no more. I quit weed yesterday. I stopped smoking weed. Watch those same people that was trying to duck you, lie to you, and leave. They're going to start offering you. You sure you good? Huh? I got you. I was just saying, I just cashed my check yesterday. I was going to go get me something. You want something? You're like, hold up. You done spent the last few months trying to duck, hide, and now that I'm saying I'm quitting, you all of a sudden want to offer me. That's the demon right there. They don't even realize it, right? That's the demon right there. That's the devil trying to get you with temptation. Because as soon as you accept that and you get back onto your habit, the next day, you can't find them again. They just wanted to help you to get back addicted, right? So we're addicted to the term, and the term has, we got to realize we have genetic memory, and nothing that could happen in 400 years can outweigh 4,000 or 5,000 years worth of genetic memory. It just is not possible. It's not possible to write new information into the DNA that fast. So nothing that could happen to you in a 500-year span will be able to erase 5,000 years worth of genetic memory. It doesn't matter how much mercury you inject, how much foreign animal DNA and blah, blah, blah. That's why we have autoimmune diseases, because foreign stuff gets into your body. You have an HLA system. It's called the human leukocyte antigen system. That stuff start getting that stuff up out of there. And literally, your body will kill you before it allows you to become too altered, before that DNA gets too altered, because your DNA is more valuable than you are to the overall species. Your DNA is more valuable than you are to the overall species. So this is why people will die from autoimmune disease. Because if your DNA start getting too crazy and your HLA system can't tell what's what, it's just going to shut you down. It's going to start attacking the foreign substances in your body. And when it can no longer tell the foreign substances from the original stuff in your body, it's going to start attacking everything. It's not going to stop. It's not like, okay, it's so much foreign genetic material and chemicals and all that floating around in here, we just going to stop. No, because that also will kill you. Either way, right? So either your immune system will shut down into no immune system, right? No immune system. Now you got AIDS. Or you will have a super hyperactive immune system where now you got, you know, lupus or Hashimoto's, or who knows how many different types of autoimmune diseases there are, right? But your body will shut you down, period, because the DNA is not to be messed with. You know what I'm saying? So altering DNA is something that has to take place over many, 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 many generations. Many, many generations. You know what I'm saying? So we've got thousands of years worth of love and veneration for N-Word, right? The N-Word is, I mean, you got countries, whole countries named, you know, Nigeria and blah, blah, blah. And even today, you know what I'm saying? People didn't like it. People didn't like it. I guess I'm going to have to acquiesce to the fact that I'm going to have to use the term a few times in this video. But people didn't like it when I brung it out. I don't know if y'all remember, but it was about maybe, when was I on Crumb TV? When was I on Crumb TV? Because I started these waves. I want to say maybe 3 years ago. Probably about 3 years ago, I was on Crumb TV, right? Well, I did a video over there called Jesus is a Nigga. And maybe 2 years, 2 or 3 years. But from there, like right after that, you know, the Bible folks got involved. The Christians, the Hebrew Israelites. Because, you know, people always will ask whoever they know that's supposed to be an expert of something. If something happens in basketball, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have friends that we consider to be knowledgeable in that space. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'll hit my man Nate up, like, yo, this is crazy. If some sports, something like, yo, Nate, this is, you know what I'm saying? Or if politics, I hit my man Twin, like, yo, Tech, this is wild, bro. What you think about this? Because I got to go to the people that I think is experts with certain stuff. Like, yo, Tech, how is this? What does this mean? You know what I'm saying? What does this mean right here? You know what I'm saying? Or hit my man Nate up like, yo, Nate, I do not think that LeBron's going to Golden State, brother. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. You know what I'm saying? But we have that. So when I start this conversation about Jesus being a nigga, right? People immediately go to their Bible folks like, yo, EnQi said. You know, EnQi said it. EnQi don't usually play on the internet. He ain't gonna play with something that serious. So we gotta, and then folks had to acquiesce, like, yeah, that's what the Bible, you know, when you remember, we reading the Bible in English. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that's in there that we just aren't going to see because we never look at the Bible in the lens of Greek, Latin, or Hebrew, right? And we definitely don't look at the Bible ever for Kemetic terms, right? Never. You know what I'm saying? So there's stuff we don't see, like right now, right? It's making its way through the ethers. Yo, EnQi said the Ankh is in the Bible. EnQi said the Bible is the Papyrus of Ani remixed. That they remixed the Papyrus of Ani, and literally, yeah, God is Ani. What? What? The reason why you don't hear nothing back is because there's no response. They just got to be quiet. They got to hold that, right? We got to dap it up. Come on, y'all know our secret handshake. Come on. Grab, look, our secret handshake. Nobody know our secret handshake. Just us, me and you. Bring it in. You know, with a nice little shoulder touch. Right? We do our secret handshake. They can't dispute it. It just is what it is. They can go to their rabbi. They can go to their pastor, imam, reverend, whoever. They're gonna be like, no, this is the first person terminology. When God is speaking, God refers to himself as Anoki, which you can roughly translate backwards to Ankh, or Anoki is enough. Because even the term Anoki, this is why they don't respond, because they could try to fight the Ankh thing, right? They could be like, well, look, that's not how you translate this backwards. It's not really Ankh, it's Anoki, and this is a Hebrew word. You know why they haven't responded back? Because that's not a Hebrew word. Even the word Anoki is a Kemetic term. And it means I am. Like, that's literally a Kemetic term, period. So there's no response on that, because this is the first person God identifying himself as Kemetic. Woo, nigga! There's nothing they could do. They stuck with that, right? So when I started this wave of, you know, Jesus being a nigga, you start to see now is videos on the internet from the last year, you know, maybe a year ago, because it take a while for stuff to circulate, you know. Now you got Hebrew Israelites out there, and they out there exposing it, you know, because when they refer to Jesus as a nigga, they translated that out. They took that out, right? So now it says carpenter, right? And you go back to the original term, the Greek was tekton, and the Hebrew term for tekton is nagar or nagaru, which is a Hebrew word that comes from the Sumerian dialect, right? Which is nagar or nagaru, which is Netcher or Netcheru, right? But you got other terms that's still in there, like where they describe some of the apostles in them as niggers with the hard ER, even though in the Bible, they don't spell it with 2 G's. They spell it like Niger, right? So when you reading it in church, you reading it in English and you go Niger, because you saying to yourself, oh yeah, the country Niger, but that's not what that is. when you go to like those websites that they use it now, like Blue Bible and all these, you know, the official sites, they have pronunciations where you could just press it. Matter of fact, let's pull up one since sometimes I get so caught up in talking, but let's pull this up. And then we could look at it and see what it says. You see? So they removed it for Jesus, but for his peoples, it's still in there.
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger.
Right? And so you see it's still in there. It ain't Niger. It ain't Niger. Ain't no Niger in there. So I know y'all want it to be Niger, but it ain't Niger, family. It's
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger.
yeah. It's just that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is for 2025, right? I know it's late. There's only a couple of weeks left in 2024. But I'm saying we take it back to the Netcher, right? That's why the name of the book is You a Wild Netcher, because I done already started around the house. You know what I'm saying? Around the house, when I talk to certain people on the phone, you know what I'm saying? I got Caleb and Chase, yo, take this to school. Get your friends on this. Get your friends on this. Like, yo, we circulating this. We pushing this. We're going to push this. You know what I'm saying? We pushing this. Netcher. You know what I'm saying? We pushing this Netcher thing. Like, that's what it is now. Even on my Instagram, this morning, let me show y'all my Instagram. I haven't been on Instagram in so long, but look at this. Even on my Instagram, I was, you know, we got to put it in the ether everywhere. We got to put it in the ethers everywhere. Look, I think it's on this video. Can y'all see? Okay, yeah, y'all can see. Wait a minute. Did they delete the comment? What? Hold on. Man, somebody had said something. Man. They deleted the comment. Oh, here you go. Here you go, right here. You see that? That's my response. He says sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas, right? So I responded with Ab M Diddy, right? That's another phrase that I made up. Ab M Diddy. Ab M Diddy. It means stop. Don't say that. It's close to pause though. Pause. Don't say that. Diddy is an actual word in the Metal Netcher, in case y'all didn't know. It means to speak or say something, right? Yeah, it's funny. His name is Diddy, right? But Ab M Diddy. Pause. Don't say that. Ab M Diddy. Pause. Don't say that. The new N-word is Netchers. So even I'm putting it out there, we replacing the pause too. But you know, one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Trying to replace the N-word and pause at the same time might be too crazy. But Ab M Diddy is replacement for pause. Pause no homo. Ab M Diddy. And the new N-word is Netcher. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So anyway, all right. So hopefully we got that. When y'all get the book, y'all will see, you know, I threw together some slang terms. Because I think the problem with a lot of the old heads, you know, is they was too holy with it. And they didn't realize, first of all, the common people wasn't supposed to be reading and writing the Medu Neter in the first place. That's how the Arabs been slick all this time. The Arabs been getting away with murder because the Arabic, see, let me tell you something. The genetic memory is so powerful. You don't realize when you're being pimped, right? You don't realize when you're being pimped. The Quran is a Syriac book. It's a Syriac book. The whole book is Syriac. It's all plagiarized. The whole Quran, right? And we could, that don't take but 30 seconds to look up. Like, that ain't nothing to look up. Like, in fact, it's in one of the books where I break it down. Exactly who the author was and everything. Yeah, we go in. They're like, oh, you always going in with the Bible. Why you don't break down the Quran? Because the Quran is too easy. The Quran is too easy. It's too easy. Like, the Quran is we knocked the Quran off in like 2 books. 2 books, we're done with the Quran. Whoop, get the Quran out of here. But what the Quran is doing is the Quran has snatched the language. And because the language is so close to what your genetic memory is, right? And that's the whole trick. So when you go on the internet right now, right? If you go on the internet and you search the Medu Neter, like literally, if you search the Medu Neter, or if you go into Amazon, or if you go right now to Barnes and Nobles, right? And you go look for the Medu Neter, or the language of ancient Egypt. And I know most of y'all watching this video have already done this 1,000 times. So you're going to automatically know what I'm saying is a fact. If not, you could just do the experiment like right now. When you search the Medu Neter or the language of ancient Egypt, you literally get 1 million different hits for hieroglyphics, right? But that's not it. That's not really the Medu Neter, right? That's the Medu Neter, but that's not the Medu Neter, right? That was the language for stone. See, a part of your confusion, family out there, is that y'all have been brainwashed against the Masons. It starts right there. You didn't realize it, but it starts right there. Once you was getting brainwashed against the Masons, you didn't realize that you was getting brainwashed against your people, because there's no evidence, historical evidence, of any great civilization of Masons except the Kemetic people. Period. The entire science of Masonry, like, not only do I show you where the admission is, the admission that Euclid stole the papers from the Library of Alexander, papyri, blah, 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 blah. But if you just think of what you know on the outside, oh, the square, that's the universal sign of Masonry. Well, we literally have whole big monuments built out of squares. The pyramid is built out of oblong squares. That's literally what the pyramid is. It's a whole bunch of oblong squares. There's 2.6 million of them. 2.6, so 26, the number 26 again, right? 2.6 million oblong squares. So it's no coincidence that it's 2.6 million oblong squares and the number of God in the Bible is 26. Like that, the repetitive motifs pop up, right? So you got 2.6 million oblong squares out there in the desert right now. I tell you, food and maize, but you didn't know you was getting brainwashed against your own folks. And go, oh yeah, because 1776 and blah 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 blah, Adam Weishaupt, or 1717, the England, they did what the Grand Lodge and blah. They was grabbing hold to the drip. That's all. They was just snatching. They was just stealing the swag. They was grabbing, biting. That's old school. That's what we used to say back in the day. Biting. You know what I'm saying? Like how Smash Rockwell did. As soon as I dropped that Mountain Dew book. Like how your man Smash Rockwell did when I dropped that Mountain Dew book. It was looking at that like, whoa. Yeah, I can't help myself. I have to steal that. I hope I get away with it. I hope no one sees me steal this. No, we saw you, buddy. We saw you, buddy. You're busted. And y'all know how I do. Once you're busted forever. I got the clip. I got the footage. Well, Wax say, I got the content. Yeah. You're in trouble when Wax say he got the content. We got the content. It's a wrap. Right? But the Arabs, they stole the actual language of the people. Right? The actual language of the people is hieratic. Right? That was what the people was dealing with. The hieratic. So you had the hieroglyphs, which was for the stones, right? The hieroglyph is for the stones. The hieratic was what the priests used, and that was the interface to the people. So when you search up the Metal Netcher, you're going to find at least 10,000 links to hieroglyphs for every one link that you find to hieratic script. Because the hieratic script is what people of that time would have had an affinity towards. And that's what they turned the Arabic into. The Arabic comes from the hieratic script. So that's where the difference between the Arabic and the Hebrew is. The Hebrew comes from the Paleo Hebrew, which you could see, literally, you could look right at it and go, oh yeah, this is clearly the hieroglyphs. Like we don't need no fancy, we don't need a PhD, we don't need none of that. We can see the pictures. Like, boop, you just, this is, we see it. Metal Netcher, Paleo Hebrew, early Hebrew, we got it. We see the line of continuity going from the hieroglyphs right into the Hebrew. And then we see the Hebrew has the same exact letters and the names of the letters as the Arabic. But the Arabic just looks so exotic. You know what I'm saying? Like it look exotic. So you got a book of Arabic to learn. And this book of Arabic to learn is going to get you closer to God. And you don't realize that the thing that's getting you closer to God is not necessarily the stories. It's not necessarily the stories. It's the fact of that language. And that language is a lot closer to your ancient languages than this English that you got. So you feel an affinity to that. Drawn to it, right? Drawn to it. Like that prayer is Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Like that's what get folks. You know what I'm saying? But then you don't realize. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find something and you can see it for yourself. Because once you look at it, you go, oh, wow, that's crazy right there. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's just like quick. It's like when you see the hieroglyphs and the Paleo Hebrew, you can't never unsee it. There's nobody on earth that could tell you Hebrew did not come from the Metal Netcher. When you see the hieratic script, it's the same exact thing. You go, oh, that's crazy. You sure that's not Arabic? you wait, you sure that's not Arabic? Yeah, that's definitely not Arabic. Yeah, that's not Arabic. And That's what all of the papyri is written in. Here, here's a perfect one right here. We're talking about this right here. Matter of fact, this is a good one. The Edward Smith papyri. Let's look at this. Right? Because the Edward Smith joint. Hold on. The Edward Smith papyri is the one where they first identified brain. The first time the word brain is used on Earth, the first record of brain is in this papyri that we're about to look at. So when Dumb Reggie, right, that's what we call him now, Dumb Reggie. Dumb Reggie was saying that Kemet they didn't know anything about the body. They didn't know how to do surgeries. The only tool they had was tweezers. I'm never letting him get away from that. The only tool they had was tweezers. You know, it's anyway, right? But this right here is the actual hieratic script, right? And this is where the Arabic language came from. This is how they stole the drip. Right? So the Syriac, the Arabic, all of those fancy looking exotic languages, they come from this. Right? So this is what they had. This is Metal Netcher right here. In case you don't know what I'm saying, this is the Metal Netcher. Right? But this is the Metal Netcher written down on papers. They didn't write the Metal Netcher down on papers as pictures. You know how long it would take to write like if you wrote a letter to somebody, you know how long that would take if you was trying to draw pictures, multiple pictures for each word? You know how long it would take you to write a book if you was literally trying to write a book by hand in hieroglyphs? No, that wasn't for that. That was for engraving stone. That was to be here forever. That was the purpose of that. That was the hieroglyphs was to go in stone and to be there forever. You know what I'm saying? Like that was for perpetuity. Perpetuity, right? For the future, for everybody to see forever, right? And that's why it's important to know what it was that they would spend their time engraving. Because a lot of these guys will have you believing that they, like Reggie, Dumb Reggie, Reggie's on the record saying that the Metal Netcher, the Kemetic science was nothing but myths, right? Unfortunately, Reggie, may God bless you, but you have to forever be the guy in the video. Like when you see the highlight clips of Jordan dunking or Kobe dunking it on somebody, or LeBron, when LeBron jumped over that guy's head, it's not that impressive if the other guy is not there in the picture. That's the one that's getting dunked on. So you volunteered yourself to just be him for life. You're him. I don't know why you said those crazy things, but you said it. So now we're here, right? So you're just him forever. Because I know Reggie's watching. Reggie watches all the time. He just sneaky watches and gets frustrated. And it goes and does 4 hours worth of talking like this. But you can't unsay what you've already said. It's already a wrap. You're already on the record with what you said already. So, but yeah, so that's where you got to understand what the importance of it would be. Because it takes so long to write in hieroglyphs, like etching it into stone, it's one thing to try to draw it. It's a whole nother thing to etch it into stone. That takes a lot of time, right? So the things that they were putting into stone were only things that would be important for every single generation to ever follow. I want you to understand that. They would only put things in stone. Think about how we use that as a saying nowadays, as written in stone. Written in stone mean that's it. That's the final thing. Like it was written in stone. So they were the only people actually really putting stuff into, like, writing it into the stone, like making a monument to put a method. And the message came first. The thing that they were going to be writing and communicating came before the monument. So we want to communicate this. Okay, boom. All right, we're going to put this together and we're going to put this. Yeah, this is what's going to be in the stone. Right. And so they would obviously have scrolls and papyri and teachings of these things before the stones existed, because obviously it's culture. That's how they came to the conclusion that something was so important that it needed to be put, for perpetuity, for forever. Right. So that the energies that create the planet can live through the stone and vibrate and create resonance in the stone and broadcast these messages to the people. Right. So those temples are still alive. We're still getting signals from them. We're still transmitting and receiving. Think about it. Most people, unless you're watching this channel, people don't even know that you're transmitting and receiving radio waves all the time. That's our thing, right? We got to dap it up again. Shh. Everybody still don't know that. We not everybody. We a small little group, maybe 500, 1,000 people know what we're talking about. World got 8-9 billion people. They don't know that we're transmitting and receiving radio waves, right? All the time. Even smaller still, people don't realize that the stones are transmitting and receiving radio waves. Yeah, that's why you gotta go get the book. Because there are people that know it. Right? That's why they want to sandblast and remove and deface the messages that are written in the stones, right? So yeah, anyway, that's where they got the drip, you know what I'm saying? And that's what the whole science of the Kemetic art is. The Kemetic art is capturing something that need to last forever. And the most important thing was the human anatomy, because the human anatomy is what facilitates the soul, right? So if there's no cot, if there's no body, there's no soul, right? There's no soul, right? There's no soul. The soul, the physical body facilitates everything goes in levels, right? So the Ren and the Ka, all of those come out of the body. Right? The body has the heart, and the heart is the star of the show. The heart is the gateway between this world and the next one. Like everything is about the physical heart, right? Because the physical heart is the key to everything else, right? So where a lot of people go wrong is they think the body is not important. No, the body is absolutely important. The body is designed based on the experience that you're going to have here and facilitates a lot of your experience here. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so Netcher, right? Netcher is what we're going forward with, right? So we going forward with the word Netcher. So we replacing the N-word with Netcher, right? And we're going to see if we push that line, how far we can take that. Right? How long we got to push that line before other YouTubers copy, right? Which I'm hoping they copy this, right? Copy the Netcher, right? And then from there, people start using it offline in their actual life, right? And then, hopefully sooner or later we get it into the music world. And once we get it to the music world, it's a wrap. Once somebody starts saying it on a record, it's gone. It's out of here. Right? It's over. And once we get that word into rotation, it's a transformative process. Once we get that word into rotation, it's a transformative process, which is the reason why it's been sitting there all this long for us. Right? The reason why that one word we get passionate, come to blows about. That's the only thing we've protected. Every aspect of our culture we've sold. That's the only thing that we haven't sold. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, it's still not okay for other people to say that. That's ours. So we just got to take it beyond discussion. right? Because there's people that's going to feel like the slavery process or the last 400 or 500 years has tainted the N-word so bad we should never use it because of how painful the memories attached to it are. There's people that's going to say, oh, no, but you got negus and nega and negaru and all these other terms that mean God, king, and blah, 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 right? And I'm of that particular stock, but Netcher is still a virgin. Netcher is still a virgin. There's no negative anything associated with that. There's no negative connotations associated with Netcher. And you could put everything else to it. So you could still say you goofy Netchers. You know what I'm saying? You could still say you goofy Netchers or what's good Netcher. You know what I'm saying? Like you could still do everything with it. Right? Because a lot of people try to replace the N-word with the word ninja. And I'm like, nah, ninja don't quite capture it. Because I tried to use ninja. And I used it for a little while. And before long, I was back to, cigarettes. It's like Black and Mild. You try to smoke Black and Milds to get off of, smoking weed or smoking cigarettes. And before long, you got rid of the Black and Mild and you back to the cigarettes or the weed smoking again. Like it doesn't work. Because ninja, first of all, ninja is Oriental. You know what I'm saying? Now we can make the case that martial arts is an African thing, but nah, they didn't put in the time, they didn't put in the work. That's Oriental thing, man. We can't take ninja away from the Oriental folks. It's just like the Hebrew. We could say that the Hebrew came from the Medu Neter, but the Hebrew now, 2024, the Hebrew belongs to the Ashkenazi Jewish people. That's theirs, bro. You can't. They done spilled blood for that and had their blood spilled for that. You can't stand on the side and watch people fight, die, and kill for something, and after it's all said and done, jump out there and be like, "Yeah, but that's mine." Nah, we didn't fight, die, and kill for that. So they got that. You got to let that go. We can definitely say they stole it. Just like we could say the Arabics tried to steal the hieratic script, right? We could say they stole it, but no, the Arabs have the Arabic language. The Ashkenazi Jewish folks, they have the Hebrew language, right? But Netcher is that's ours. Netcher is ours. Netcher is still untouched, right? So we say ninja, we kind of going into Oriental thing. No. We got to go with the Netchers. Right? And Netcher bridges that gap from gods and the N-word, right? It puts it all back into place, right? Because that's the only other word we greet each other with, right? It's either what's good, nigga, or peace, God, right? It's either peace, God, or we use the N-word. My nigga. Yo, my nigga. Peace, God. It's one of those two. So we just go Netcher and then we done with it, right? Netcher is both of those. It's the original. It's the original, right? And that's how I was raised anyway as a kid. Cut out the middleman. You know what I'm saying? Then back to Sugar Hill. Like, yo, don't cop this right here. You might as well go up the hill. You might as well go up the hill and get that. Yeah. So that's how we do that. We put that back together and we just go Netcher. There you go. Abim Diddy right there. Come on, there you go right there. Yeah. All right. So now we could get into our conversation from yesterday. Now that we done moved on from Netcher. Right. And I put together a few little sayings in the back of the book to go along with Netcher, like Abim Diddy, for the pause and a couple other little nice little, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We got to like the Binu bird, you know what I'm saying? Like the phoenix, like the Binu bird, like this. Folks is trying to wait. This is what's happening. Before they breathe life back into the language, folks is trying to find the correct pronunciation, but there is no correct pronunciation. So we have to agree that the phoenix, right, which is the Greco-Roman rendition of the Binu bird. The Binu bird, right, the phoenix, it destroys itself, right, and then recreates, right? That's Kepler, right? It destroys itself and then recreates fresh from its ashes. So we're not supposed to be waiting to find the exact pronunciation. We're supposed to just come with ours. That's what we do anyway. Yeah, we coming with ours. So we just going to grab what we know. Yeah, we just going to grab what we know. And then we're going to season that joint like how we season it. That's what we do. That's what we started over here doing with the food anyway. We got scraps and we seasoned that. We put the herbs on it. And before you know it, it was delicatessen. You know, it was cuisine, right? So we got to take these ashes, what we got, and do our thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's how that go. Now we can go to some of these clips and have some discussion. Right? Now we can have some discussion. We can pick up where we left off yesterday. Because folks was like, yo, EnQi, you just hit us with the mic drop and then turned the video off. You hit us with the mic drop and turned the video off. So what I wanted to share today is another one of my personal discoveries. Right? One of my personal discoveries, because people have found certain like artwork in the brain and stuff like that. Those things other people can say, oh, I came up with that first, right? But in terms of the holy cow, right, and the Jed pillar, that's me. That's us. That's melanin versus diabetes. That's why I had to pull out a shirt. I was like, hold on, when I show the vertebrae, I got to be representing for the team. I was like, hold up, because this is different. This is not like sharing some information that I read that, my contemporaries don't know, but because I read it, I'm be the first one to bring it back out. No. When I show y'all the cow and the vertebrae, like, no. When I show y'all the neurovascular unit for the heavenly cow, right? That's your PayPal. I mean, Cash Apps right here. Where it is, right here. Cash App, hint, hint, wink, wink, hit the Cash App, right? $ Minister EnQi, hit the Cash App. That's y'all supporting the movement and us being able to do the work, right? So this is what this.
Problems because now look, Reggie, me and you could set up a Kemetic debate if you are saying that the Kemetic folks are not the experts in health, and I'm saying that they was. That might be a good debate.
Let me show you this example right here. This is how I'm gonna show and prove that. I'm not going to say that y'all been wasting y'all time or y'all money, because you can learn some things from brothers, but when they get too cocky and think that they know it all, that's when you got to show them, you got to just put folks back in their place, right? This right here is a museum. Now, you have a lot of brothers that are doing museum tours, and they're telling you that they're the experts on Kemet and blah, blah, blah. What they do not understand about Kemetic art or ancient Egyptian art is what they were actually depicting in the art.
So when you look at this, or when you listen to these brothers, they just going to give you a surface level understanding that you can actually get for yourself. You can look right at this and go, oh yeah, I see this is the bull. I see the serpent, the Urus. I see the sun disk. Okay, great. Oh, is this the cow from Exodus? All right, cool. They give you a little hint that it might mean something deeper, but they don't have the study. They don't have the science. They don't have the time to really understand what's being depicted here. They don't have the understanding. This is why they will allow these same museums to tell you that the Jed pillar is a faggot. They would tell you that Osiris's spine is a faggot. It's a bundle of sticks. That's what these same people would tell you, that Osiris's spine is a bundle of sticks. Now, you got to understand, this is all a part of this program with the promoting I ain't even gonna go into what Kamala and these guys was promoting. You already know what it is. You already know what that community is into. So let me just show you beyond the shadow of a doubt, so you understand exactly what this is right here, what you're looking at. See, this is what we doing on our side.
Welcome to Stanford Medicine and to the Stanford Radiology YouTube video channel.
Hello, I'm Eric Van Vin, Clinical Assistant Professor of Neuroradiology at Stanford University, and today we'll be discussing the basics of MRI lumbar spine interpretation. We'll start by discussing a normal MRI lumbar spine protocol, looking at some normal anatomy, and then we'll talk about establishing a search pattern. Finally, we'll talk about lumbar disc nomenclature. A typical lumbar spine MRI protocol will have sagittal images, a series of images oriented as if we were looking at a person from the left, a stack of axial images oriented along the long axis of the sagittal images as if we were looking at a patient from the top of their head or the bottom of their feet, and in some cases, an additional series of axial oblique images will be performed through the lower lumbar discs.
See, this is what art is about. This is what high-level art is about. That right there, what you're looking at, is a vertebrae. That's a vertebrae. That's the Jed pillar. That's the Jed pillar from the top down. That's the Jed pillar. That's the spine that produce all your red blood cells. That's the real stability of life right there. Get that book from Amazon so you can learn some real Kemetic science. It's out here.
Since you are back on the channel and,
Yeah, I think that clip right there did pretty good. I think that clip did pretty good. But, oh man, where's my little hard drive? I was about to open up the book so you can see. I have it in the book. Oh well. Oh, you know what I could do? I could pull it up on the YouTube. Yep, I could pull it up on the YouTube.
Saying that they was, that might be a good debate.
Right? So we can go here, just so I could add some context to it, right? So here's a museum, right? Here's a museum, and they have the sacred bull, the sacred cow, right? And the sex is not as important as the artistic motif. What's being captured here, right? This is what's being captured, right? This is a vertebrae, right? This is a vertebrae, and the snake, the Urus, represents electromagnetism, right? So that's what I'm showing, because this here, what I put right next to it so you can see them side by side, this is just a picture that you would use in regular anatomy class.
That right there is just a picture that you would use in a regular anatomy class learning about the spine. That's what an individual vertebrae would look like, but not looking at it from the side. If you took a spine, right, and you dissected it and you broke it down into individual vertebrae and you looked at it in your hand, right, that's what it would look like, right? And so you look at the spine this way when they're trying to analyze the bone marrow content or the nerves, or, you know, if you got spinal disease or your spines are getting, you know, your vertebrae are getting dry or whatever the case may be, you got to look at it this way, right? And so this is what they was capturing in the art. This is what Kemetic art is about. It's about what is so important that it needs to last forever. What's so important that our teachings about it need to last forever. And so this is why yesterday we was talking about the heavenly cow, right? And how now they have the NVU, right? So if you look at the depictions of the heavenly cow, and we have it in, is it in the I Am Hymn book? Yes, it's definitely in the I Am Hymn book, right? It's in the I Am Hymn book. Let me see if I can find one on the YouTube, I mean on the internet real quick, so you can see it better, because the camera is going to take away from it. You really need to have the books, right? Oh, look at these. Beautiful. Look at these. Beautiful. Bam. Right? Now, this is the original. So the original is kind of, right? The original is kind of faded over time, right? But when you look at the reproductions, right? This is what they was talking about in Exodus, right? When they were stealing the drip, right? This is the heavenly cow. And this is what I was explaining to you yesterday. This is what I was explaining to you yesterday when it goes into the thing that they just discovered in 2001. In 2001, they just discovered that you have a whole nother level of brain tissue, a whole nother layer of brain matter, right? Think about that. 2001, we just discovering how, what is this, 2024? In 2021, they just discovered like 3,000 brand new neurons. Understand this. In 2001, so 2021, they discovered new types of neurons. In 2001, 24 years ago, 23 years ago, they just discovered the neurovascular unit. That's a new layer of brain tissue, right? That's a new level of brain tissue. And what this outer layer of brain tissue does is it regulates the blood being fed to the neurons, right? And so in the iconography, in the artwork, the gods are being anthropomorphized as the neurons, the neural networks, right? The neurons and the neural networks, because that's where creation is happening in your mind. Creation is happening in your mind, right? Your neurons are facilitating it. And somebody like dumb Reggie will come along and tell you, oh, well, EnQi, they didn't know anything about neurons and blah, blah, blah. They didn't know what that was in Kemet. which is why, once again, you have to get the books, because we have a book for that. And it's not a new book. We did this book a minute ago, right? You got some nerve, right? We did this book a minute ago. And in this book, literally, it has the hieroglyphs for it. Yeah, it has the hieroglyphs for it. That's how. Wait, that's how we know that they knew about it, because they wrote it down. Duh. No, they literally wrote it down. Yeah. They have this hieroglyph right here. Right here. See this? And look at that right there. That one right there. With the square with the body attached to it. The square with the axon attached to it right there. Right? Those are the individual units that make up your brain. Those are the individual units that make up your brain in the hieroglyphs. Look, right here, this is the hieroglyph for the cerebral spinal fluid. Yeah, they got the hieroglyphs. Remember, the hieratic script that I just showed you, the Edward Smith papyrus, right? Inside that papyrus is the first ever known mention of the brain. Ever. So there is no such thing as saying, well, they could not have been talking about the brain when they were talking about the heavenly cow, because they didn't know about the brain. They absolutely knew about the brain. They absolutely explored the entire body, especially the spine, the reproductive system, the heart, and the brain. They was all over them like a cheap suit in the rain. They was all over that. That was the masterpiece. Right? So they even had the hold on. That's this book right here. Matter of fact, yeah, let's go to this. Let's go to this. Because I start talking and then time be ticking. And I want to get to some stuff before we get out of here. It's the Netcher. Hopefully I brung to life the falcon for you. Hopefully I brung Heru, Ra-Harakti, right? Hopefully I brung him to life for you so you can see why it is that that bird is sitting on top of the spine right there. Why it's sitting up on top of the spine right there. And why you have 7 baboons, right? 4 in front, 3 behind, 7 baboons to symbolize the speed of light, which is 7 times around the globe in a second. The speed of light is 7 times around the globe in a second. The vault of heaven is in your brain, in your mind. The world is created in your mind. Movement, time, space, light, sound, created in your mind. Art or not let me not say art, because art has went down. Ancient Kemetic art. Ancient Kemetic art was about capturing the anatomy, because that was the only thing worth preserving to teach the future generations. So what we have done in over 100 books, we have written over 100 books on this subject, over 70 of which are on Amazon right now for you to get. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a brain. No, it's the Netcher. Hopefully I brung to life the falcon for you. Hopefully. Okay. So if you go to this book right here, right? If you have this book, you go in this book on page 30. If you go to page 57, right? Go to page 57. We're going to read page 57 together. The Urus, a cobra symbol derived from the ancient Egyptian word Iret, meaning risen one, from the image of a cobra rising up in protection. The cobra symbolized both divine protection and enlightenment. Mind. The shape of the Urus resembles a letter S and is depicted with two curves along the body of the cobra, or spine. The pharaoh was recognized only by wearing the Urus, which conveyed legitimacy to the ruler. HGT, personality. All right? Horizontal gene transfer. That's another part of the conversation. The sign of the Urus was also used to symbolize water in ceremonies and rituals relating to purification. And that relates to cerebral spinal fluid. Totafot. 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 Right? That's a Hebrew word. Totafot. In early Egypt, Horus would have been a title given to every king as a son of the goddess. The first Urus was created by Osset, who formed it from the dust of the ground and the fluid of the sun. The Urus Wajet is what Isis gained the throne of Egypt with for Osiris. Totaf is another name for Urus Wajet, which is also in the Bible, oddly enough. So what I'm telling you is the Urus, right? The Urus the Urus is also biblical. You just don't know it's in there. You just don't know it's in there because you don't know where to look. You don't know it's in there because you don't know where to look. Just like the Ankh is in there. This is also in there. That's why I'm telling you. The Bible is the remix version of the book of Ani. Right? I'm telling you that. And we need to tell that to the world. We need to explain this to the... Oh, do you know that homeboy? Hold up. I got to say this so that y'all understand what's going on. Yo, Do you know that the guy, let me show y'all this before, because it's going to get out of hand and get crazy if I don't show this to y'all real quick. And I don't want this to get crazy because I like the guy. You know what I'm saying? And let me show y'all this. Hold up. Let me show y'all this real quick because this is wild. But it's what I told y'all. The same thing I told y'all. I'm just giving y'all another example. I ain't trying to start beefing with the guy or nothing. But it's just another example what I told y'all about the light. When your light starts shining too bright, people have no choice but to follow the drip. Right? So watch this. Let me show y'all this. Look at this. So we can y'all see? Okay, bam. Y'all on it now. All right, so hold up. Where's that video we did? Right here. Look. Remember we did this video, right? Reacting to the Billy Carson thing. Remember? The guy Anton Wisbisky, right? Well, he responded to the video. He literally responded to the video. That's how I knew we did a good job with the video, because the guy actually responded to the video. So the guy going back and forth that started the whole craziness with Billy Carson, right? He responded to the video, right? This is his response to the video. Man, I have had such a long 2 weeks, and this video gave me so many great laughs that I needed. Dr. EnQi, you are one awesome dude. The gambler reference had me dead. My dad loves that song. Good work, man. Keep speaking the truth, even when it's not easy. You are spot on in so many ways. Right? So after that, I start to see him doing like topics. After that, he started doing topics from us. Yo, God bless him. Shout out to him. You know what I'm saying? But listen, hit me up. You know, let me come do me. You know what I'm saying? Let me come do me. Hit me up. You know what I'm saying? But like I told y'all, this truth that we got is contagious. You know what I'm saying? It's contagious. In the age of the internet, people was going to grab stuff and try to do it and flip it as if it's their own discoveries or research, or they're going to try to do it their way. But that's the beauty of having books. That's the beauty of having books with all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's documented. Like, no. That's... Like, you know how Superman, Clark Kent, when Clark Kent start busting out and getting ready to be Superman. Yeah. So definitely shout out to him. No shade. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he definitely gravitating to the topics, stealing the drip a little bit. He's stealing the drip a little bit. He's stealing the drip a little bit. He's stealing the drip a little bit, right? So hold on. This is what I wanted to show y'all, though. I wanted to show y'all the Urus, because this is important. Because in this book, right, EnQi and the Brainwave, and I don't know if we took enough time to spend, you know, but we're on the brainwave right now, right? I make the case, right? I make the case that they're talking about brainwaves in Kemet, right? And not only are they talking about brainwaves in Kemet, but they've also brung that over into the Bible and into the Hebrew, which is the reason why it's a part of the tradition now. It's a part of the Jewish tradition. And I'm not sure that they even know where the tradition comes from. But it's Christmas season. So all things, you know what I'm saying, we got to bring it back. Like we're taking the N-word back to Netcher. So we gotta take it all back. Right. So the term totafo, let me write that down on the screen for y'all so y'all see it. That's the term, right? That's the term, right? So that's the term that they use in the Hebrew, right? That's the term that they use in the Hebrew. But it originates with the root. The root is this word right here. That's the root, right? This is the root word. So this is the word that they use in the Hebrew, and this is the root word of it, right? This comes from Kemet. This comes from Kemet. I want y'all to understand this. This comes from Kemet. So this is Jewish tradition. This is serious Jewish tradition. So don't get yourself beat up in Brooklyn by talking reckless and crazy about what I'm sharing with you, because I'm not trying to weaponize any of this information. I'm giving y'all this information so that I could bring everybody back closer to God. We laugh, we joke, we have a good time, but I want y'all to understand my intentions, right? When the Greek people invaded Kemet, they invented the Israelites or the Jewish people as well as the Egyptians. The Egyptians is just as fake as the Israelites and the Jewish people, right? They invented them. So what we're doing, they didn't invent God though. That's what you need to understand. So when we have these conversations, they've invented the narratives, but God is not invented. So we have to be able to utilize the Bible and utilize the studies so that we can get back closer to an authentic appreciation for not just God, but also for our soul, for our spirit, and just, you know, being good humans and good people. So yeah, sometimes you need to slap people around a little bit with the information so you can ice bucket challenge them. Like you got to wake them up. You know, they sleep. You got to wake them up. You know what I'm saying? But I want y'all to understand what we're trying to do, right? This is the only reason why I haven't been over on House of Consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise I would be on House of Consciousness. I don't have beef going on with Sa. I don't want y'all to think because I'm Ragdoll and Reggie and Jabari that I have beef with Sa. No, I don't have no beef with Sa. I just haven't been over there on the House of Consciousness because I'm in this pocket, and it's really no way of not allowing this conversation to turn into like a weaponized information kind of thing when I go over there, which I eventually have to go over there at some point anyway. You know what I'm saying? Especially holiday season, I got to make a stop over there. But I just want to get the message out in love first. You know what I'm saying? Get the message out in love so people understand what we're doing and people get a grasp of it. People get a chance to read the books and get the information and understand that we're bringing people together. Our goal is not to do Christians versus the this or the Kemetics versus the that. Like that's cool because that helps to bring attention to stuff, right? So I'll go over there at some point and, you know, we'll be in the mix of, you know, we'll go crazy. We'll be over there sooner or later, going crazy. But like I said, debates are good for bringing attention to something. So I want to make sure that the thing that we bring attention to has been established in love and unity first. So that way, when I'm over there, people understand I'm bringing attention to love and unity, bringing people back to the oneness of God, bringing people back to their spirituality, right? So that's the whole, that's that. Right? Because I know people think like, oh, he going in on Reggie, he must be beefing with Sa. No, nobody's beefing with Sa. Right? So let me pull this up and get to this because I want y'all to see this. This is important. This is important. These words are important because this creates a very important link between Kemetic science, biblical science, and Jewish, Hebrew, Israelite ritual, right? Because remember what a ritual is for. A ritual is so that you can relive something in your mind. That's what a ritual is for. So you can relive something in your mind. Like when they do the Passover or when they do this holiday or that holiday. The holiday has certain rituals because the rituals is supposed to recreate the event that happened in your mind. And when you say to yourself, but what if the event never happened? What if there's a ritual for an event that never happened? Well, then you have to ask yourself, why are they symbolically trying to recreate an event in your mind that never happened? It's only two purposes. One purpose is to get you closer to the devil. One purpose is to get you closer to God. Now, you got to figure out which one is which. Right? You got to figure out which one is which. Right? Matter of fact, hold up. Oh, I ain't even got it queued up. I was about to pull up Suge Knight real quick. Like Suge Knight can tell you better than I can tell you. But hold up, we're gonna go and pull this up real quick because it's good for you to see this. Right? So let me see if I can find this somewhere. Oh, look at that right there. That's sweet. Look at that right there. Okay, now this is looks like a Jewish thread. Why does the Torah use the non-Hebrew word totafot? Look at that question right there. Why does the Torah use the non-Hebrew word totafot? And for ornaments between your eyes, tefillin, since they are 4 compartments, they are called in Coptic meaning 2 and in Afrikaans meaning 2. Thus 2 plus 2 equals 4 boxes of tefillin. The second part of this, Rashi derives the word totafot from a different source. Means speak to the south. Preach not, an expression of speech. Okay, so they don't know what the word means, right? The Jewish link. Look at this. This is a Jewish website. What is the meaning of totafot? The word seems to mean something like an ornament. Balashon. The word means tefillin because they are made of 4 compartments. They are called totafot. Etymology of totafot. Let's see what they're saying. Etymology of totafot. Totafot have been rendered as frontlets, phylacteries in Greek, or amulets, and as tefillin, an aid in prayer. Okay, very important, right? It is a word learned from the who? The Egyptians over 200 years ago when the Hebrews were made slaves of the Egyptians. The T word mirrors 2 aspects of the divine finger, the power of creation and the characteristics of lawgiver and scribe. An object referred to by the T word would supersede the spells and incantations. Wow. And they done locked this page up. You ain't getting no more than that. You ain't getting no more than that. Access denied. Right? Access denied. You ain't getting no more than that right there. Okay. Hold on. Because y'all know if y'all got the book, then you got it. You know what I'm saying? If you got the book, you got it. You already know what it is. Right? But hold on. Let's work for a second. Let's work for a second. Let's work for a second, right? Let's go to the Bible real quick so we can see this in the Bible. Exodus 13, right? Let's go to Exodus 13. Let's get to our highly organized King James. You know, King James was anti-cannibal medicine. He was anti-cannibal medicine. So I rock with King James. Okay, so here it goes right here. Right? So if you're taking notes and you don't have the book yet, right? It's the EnQi and the Brainwave book, right? It has these in it, outlined in it. So you get the book, you got all this information. But if not, you're taking notes. It's Exodus 13, verse 9. And it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thine hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. Okay? So again, remember, we was on our breakdown of Golgotha and Calvary, and we started with Jacob and Israel, right, at Pineal, and then we went to David, who hit the giant. It specifically says in the Bible that the stone went into the center of the giant's head, right? So it's a stone in the center of the giant's head. David takes the head, the skull, and plants it outside the gates of Jerusalem. That same spot becomes Golgotha or Calvary, right? Jesus gets put on a cross right there. We looked up Golgotha, it's the place of the skull, blah, blah, blah. So we went through a whole bunch of stuff yesterday. I just want to kind of recap you, right? Then we had our little moment. Some folks got angry with me because I said it was a Maury Povich moment. Yo, I literally got dirty messages about that yesterday. Some folks got upset about that. It was like, you can't be saying that about Jesus, brother. We understand what you're trying to do, but you can't say that about Jesus. I was just saying, listen, is Jesus the Father? I mean, is Joseph the Father? Is Gabriel the Father? Is the Heavenly Father the Father? Because in Matthew verse 1, it don't say neither one of those three. It says that David was the Father. So I'm just saying it was similar to a Maury Povich moment. That's all. I wasn't, I need y'all to relax. Okay, I need y'all to relax. It was similar to a who is the Father. That's all. It was just similar to a Maury Povich moment. Okay, so we're talking about the Totaf or the Totafot, right? So here is saying that it should be a sign upon thy hand and for a memorial between thy eyes. So we have another reference to the brain and or the mind right here, right? Now, let's go to Exodus. Let's go to 16, verse 16. What we got in verse 16, right? Verse 16. And it shall be for a token upon thine hand and for frontlets between thine eyes. For by strength of hand of the Lord brought us out of Egypt, right? So not only are we getting these references that it needs to be between your eyes, right? Which is clearly a reference to the pineal, right? Or it could be, let's just say that, could be, right? Or it could be the frontal lobe or whatever, right? But we have these references, right? Okay. And then we have a couple more over here in Deuteronomy. So that way, folks is not let off the hook, right? Folks is not let off the hook. In Deuteronomy 6, right? Just as repetitive, so you get it, right? It's repetitive, so you get it. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes, right? So also it's important for you to know that when people are having certain conversations, right? Israelites, Christians, Catholics, Jewish folks, and they're talking about keeping the commandments. This is the stuff that they're talking about. They're not talking about the stuff that everybody knows. They're talking about these things. They're talking about the traditions. They're talking about the rituals. So just any good person knows you don't have to be religious or even acknowledge God. You could be atheist or agnostic. You can know still that it's wrong to kill people or to sleep with your neighbor's wife. Like that's not like that's not like a big, that's everybody should kind of know that. By the time you get grown, you kind of know, don't steal. Like that's not that. Right? This is what they're talking about, but they don't share this publicly. They don't share this publicly, which is a reason why I'm saying don't weaponize this information. Use this to teach, get the books, learn, uplift, bring together, but don't weaponize. Everything is not to be weaponized. Right? So you have that, and then you have Deuteronomy 11 where it repeats again. Right? So just so you have these, so you get the message, right? Now, this one for me is particularly more important than the others because this one gives more detail. It says, therefore shall ye lay upon these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. Right? Okay. So now let's look at how it's carried out. Right? Let's look at how it's carried out. So just in case when you see it, you know what you're looking at. Right? So you see from a very early age, you see this. If you live in certain neighborhoods, you probably haven't understood this or where this comes from, but this is what that is. Right? This is what that is. Right? This is why you see the box on the head should be a little bit lower, closer down to the forehead, but this is why you see it wrapped around the arm, in the hand, wrapped around the forehead. This is what this is. Right? So this is much more deeper than what you think. And this is very, very Kemetic. This is very Kemetic. Right? But this, you don't get this information. This you don't get. It's only Dr. EnQi. And y'all supposed to have had this book already. Dr. EnQi and the Brainwave. If you look right behind where it says God is music, you see the origin of it, right? You see the Urus back there, right? Okay, so now that we looked at it, right? So we looked at this term, and this is where the tradition of wearing the box and wrapping up and putting the prayers in it and blah, 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 blah. Okay, and so you notice what? What do you notice? I just showed you something. You might have not even peeped it. Remember, we was talking about the Hebrew and the Arabic, right? The Hebrew comes from the hieroglyphs. The Arabic comes from the hieratic script, right? But they both come from the Metal Netcher. Now, what do you notice about both cultures, right? The Arabic people, they're making a circle around the cube, right? They're making a circle praying around the cube. The Jewish people are strapping the cube onto their forehead. Yeah, it's the same thing though. Right? They're strapping it to their forehead. It's the same thing. Right? So you just got to realize what it's trying to communicate. And they know that it's an Egyptian word. We just read that. right? They know it's not a Kemet, it's not a Jewish or Hebrew word. They know this stuff. Okay, so now let's take it back and let's look up this word. Let's see what we got right here. Did y'all see that? How that work right there? Look. Did y'all see that? See what's in the search bar? Totaf. So Totafot, right? That's where you get the Tefillin, right? And even on the Jewish websites, they're asking on the Jewish websites, why does the Torah use the non-Hebrew word Totafot? And they're explaining that it's an Egyptian word, right? But we know that Egyptian is fake. There's no such a thing as really Egyptian. It's Kemetic. It's a Netcher word. Now, when we go back to the root of the word and we take the ending off, we go right to a dictionary and bang, right? Redirected from Totaf, the figure of the sacred serpent, an emblem of sovereignty depicted on the headdress of ancient Egyptian rulers and deities. Now, what do we say after we see that? Grand opening. Grand opening, grand closing. Right? I just showed you that the Urus is in the Bible. So not only did I show you the Ankh is in there, Ani is in there, I just showed you the Urus is in there. And not in there like when they say the crown, you know, they took the ram's crown and David put on, or the king of the Jews put on the ram's crown and blah, blah, blah. That's something totally different. This is way deeper than that, because this is the Urus in the Bible, and not only in the Bible, right? It's translated and then translated and translated again. So you can't find it unless you go back 4 translations deep. They'd turn Urus into Totaf, turn Totaf into Totafot, and turn Totafot into Tefillin. And then turn Tefillin in the English joint to frontlets. So that's 5 translations. So you're not going to find the relationship of Kemet in the Bible. You're not going to find that right there. Because again, nobody has a vested interest to go back that many translations. Christians and Catholics, they just going to go back to the Latin. Jewish people and Israelites, well, Jewish people going to go to the Hebrew. They good with the Masoretic text. The Israelites, they're going to try to get slick and go to the Paleo Hebrew, right? Nobody's getting ready to go back what we just did, right? That's why you got to get these books. Y'all don't know that. Yeah, I keep trying to explain to y'all. It's not enough time in the day for me to give y'all all the information that's in these books on YouTube videos. And some of it is not even, I'm not even able to give y'all on the YouTube videos, if you understand what I'm saying. Like some of it, you got to go. You need to just read it at your house. Right? Yeah, some of it you just need to read at your house. So today, what did we cover? Right? We showed that the Urus is in the Bible. We showed that not only is the Urus in the Bible, but that the Urus is active in Jewish worship today, Jewish ritual today, right now. They put it on the Urus. They put on the Urus, or the box that symbolizes the Urus, and do their prayers. So this is what I'm trying to say. I'm not gonna say it. You need to. So anyway, what else did we cover today? We covered a lot. So now we done taken it to a deeper level. The skull, Golgotha. Now we have a little bit more sense of. Now we have a little bit more sense of why in the Bible it says they hung Jesus from a tree, but then you have this other conflicting story where it says they attached Jesus to a cross, right? Because the story about him being attached to a cross is not about the human. The story about being attached to the cross is about Christ. So in the Bible, you have two different characters. You have Yeshua, which is the person, right? Yeshua is quote unquote the child that Mary gave birth to, right? So I was making a joke about it yesterday, but I was trying to get to stick in your mind. So Yeshua, Jesus is something totally different. We're not Kanye, we're not Yeshua, Yehoshua, right? Either one, Yehoshua, Yahshua. I like Yahshua, but Yehoshua is still it doesn't matter, right? As long as you don't start pulling out Yahweh Shai on me, we good. Yehoshua or Yahshua, right? That is the human that came through Mary, right? So that's the story of the angel Gabriel telling Mary, look, the Heavenly Father, boom. You might want to let Joseph know because it could get crazy, blah, blah, blah. That's that. In the New Testament, they let you know that they're not exactly talking about that guy because they say son of David. Son of David. And they tell you son of David, and then they reinforce it, son of David, by giving you Golgotha, by giving you Calvary, by letting you know this moment, right? This transformative moment. Like Jacob had a transformative moment where he got quantumly entangled with God at Peniel, aka Pineal. David has a transformative moment when he lodges a stone inside the center of the giant skull, cuts his head off, and then plants it outside the gates of Jerusalem, which later on becomes Golgotha, Calvary, which both mean the place of the skull. So it's talking about the skull. And now that brings us full circle back around to the heart health, because what did we discover in the Bible is that the amygdala, which is at the center of the skull, is what actually triggers the heart attack, right? The amygdala triggers the heart attack, right? So the skull, the brain, actually can kill the heart. The heart regulates the brain. Yeah, y'all, did y'all hear it? My stomach just told everybody that I was fasting. That was my stomach growling. I don't know if the mic, because the mic is closer to my stomach than my mouth, so y'all might have heard. Yeah, so I'm on this fasting thing, but I'm not doing like the whole complete dry fast kind of thing, but I am fasting, right? But anyway, that just means that everything is clear, right? When your stomach starts grumbling like that, that means it's just gas and air down there. You ain't got nothing, you ain't put nothing to eat down there, just gas and air, right? But I've been cheating a little bit because normally I have the blue magic mixed into my tea, but I've been pouring the bitters into the tea with the blue magic. So it's bitters in there and it's crazy. So my body is really like not agreeing with me right now. It's like, yo, bro, it's bad enough you ain't put nothing down here. Why is you like, yeah, like bitters in the morning, bitters at night. You sipping bitters all day. Like, what are you doing? It's purification time. Right? All right. So now we got the Urus in the Bible. We got the Urus as tradition for the Jewish folks. So now when you see that, you understand what that is. And when you look at it wrapped around the arm, you see the snake, you see the snake, you know what I'm saying? You see what it is, right? You see like what it is clearly, you know what I'm saying? And now you have the information, you know, if you're ever in a dialogue with one of them, a peaceful dialogue, you can break it down and explain it to them because they're curious. They want to know. This is why I'm saying when your light starts shining bright, people have no choice but to gravitate to it because there's people that want to know the answers to these things all their life. It's people that's Jewish, that, you know, they've been born into Jewish culture, you know what I'm saying? And they've been practicing these things religiously, pun intended, right? But they don't know why. And they start to going around doing research and they like, yo, this is crazy because we go from frontlets to Tefillin, from Tefillin to Totafo, then we find out this word is not even a Hebrew word. What is this? Stuck right there. You know what I'm saying? But no, you got to go back to the Urus that was on, you know what I'm saying? But then if you go to the Kemetic brothers, once you find that out, you'd be like, oh, the Urus. Well, most of them don't know what the Urus is, right? So now I don't know if y'all paid attention. We be working on multiple levels here. I don't know if y'all paid attention, but the Urus is also the N-word. I'm just saying, pun intended. Anyway, we be on levels with it. So y'all didn't know we was gonna go from the N-word and like we it's called spiral teaching. It's a teaching technique that I invented. Right? Bring you around the subject matter multiple times so you get a deeper grasp of it on every level. Right? Right? We know that they had the divine Nagas and they was worshipped by themselves. Right? But what that is the electromagnetism in and of itself. Right? Because that takes us back to Kemetic art. Kemetic art was a reflection of science and spirituality together. Science and spirituality together was what was reflected in the art. So when you see the art, they're not doing the art for art purposes. They're not doing the art for art purposes. It's not like they thinking they're going to buy these paintings or paint these paintings and sell them for $1 million. That's not what they did art for. You know what I'm saying? Art was done back in that time by people that was already insanely rich. And then they dedicated something to their God that they particularly reflected and encapsulated all of the science, the mystery, and the spirituality in that piece of art. That's what that art was to reflect. All of those things together, right? Because the art, once you put all of that into the art, anybody that observes the art, those things strike the psyche. Those strings strike the psyche and bring about fundamental change, not only just in how the person thinks and views the world and their self in it, but literally shapes the brain, right? That's one of the things I find out when I had a school. Like a lot of these children that have behavior problems or learning problems in school is because they have incomplete brain development. Because there's a certain amount of words your child is supposed to know at each certain level of development. There's a certain amount of movement and motor skill function they're supposed to have. So a lot of our kids have very little vocabularies and they awkward, meaning their movement, their hand-eye coordination, and their balance is not together. Because when they was between 1 and 4 years old, they wasn't getting what they was supposed to get. They was being stuck in front of a TV watching, you know, action films, action films, or worse than action films. They was watching hood films or rap videos, right? Thank God I didn't get exposed to the the rap until later. In my early years, I was only exposed to, you know, PBS, Channel 13, and, you know, reading is fundamental and that kind of stuff. Books, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was loaded up with books and learning and ideas of God and this, that, and other, all kinds of abstract concepts. I was loaded with that as a kid. Rap didn't hit me. Like, I was getting whooped. I got beat in order to submerge myself in the rap culture. Because early on, rap wasn't all over everywhere. It was only on the radio late at night. Way after time you're supposed to be at bedtime. So I used to sneak and stay up and put my radio on low and hit the record and then try to let it record all night. So by tomorrow, I have a fresh recording of whatever they played last night. And then I could go crazy. You know, I could erase the commercial parts and, you know, go to my homeboy house, you know what I'm saying? And whatever. But, okay. So here's how you find out. Now, here's how we end this. Here's how we find out. Here's how we find out what they thought was beautiful. Because this is how you G check it. Listen, this is how you G check it. Like, if you need the reference point to research what I'm saying or to know what I'm saying is factual about art and how the Kemetic people put it together, it's only one way to definitively, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, where it's not a debate, right? To know, what did the Kemetic people think of? Oh my God, it's after 12 o'clock. I was supposed to do my prayer at 12. So I'm definitely ending this video. I'm ending this video. But let me end it with this, right? And then I'm going to do my thing a little bit late, but it's all good. If you want to know what they thought was worthy of art, right? All you got to do is ask the Kemetic people, right? Ask the Netchers. The Netchers left their word. Literally, metal Netcher is the word of the gods, right? So if we want to know what they thought was worthy of art, what they thought was beautiful, we can still ask the Netchers today. Yeah. Listen, we can still ask the Netchers right now, and not in a way with like, we're going to go into meditation or into prayer and ask the Netchers. No. We can ask the Netchers in real time. Right? We can ask the Netchers in real time what they thought was beautiful. Right? And they will answer you. Right? They will answer you. Look at that. Look at that right. Oh, you can't see it. Look. Look right there. Boop. Look at that. The Netchers will answer you. If we ask the Netchers what's beautiful, they're going to tell you. Look at that. Look at this blog right here. And look right here. Look at that. You see that right there? That's a whole bunch of, right? But they got one word. Nefer. Look at this. This right here. Look at that right there. Now let's just meditate. Let me let y'all meditate on that for a second. I want y'all to meditate on that for a second. Meditate on this for a second. Just look at that and study that and tell me something about that. Because if we ask the Netters, if we ask the original Kemetic people what was beautiful, this is the symbol right here. So we can get right back to the original and go, what is beautiful They show you what's beautiful. That's why there's a picture for the words. So not only can they give you the meaning of it, but they can show you exactly what they thought. So I want y'all to think about that for a second. All right. I hope y'all got some fire for me. I hope y'all got some fire for me. What y'all got in the chat? Y'all ain't put nothing in the chat. Yo, y'all supposed to have went in. Y'all supposed to have went in. I said, we're going to ask the Netchers what they think is beautiful. And I want y'all to explain it in the chat. I want y'all to meditate on it and explain it in the chat. And y'all ain't came up with nothing. Okay. So first things first. First things first. First things first. What's the first thing you should notice about this sign? What's the first thing y'all should notice about that hieroglyph? What's the first thing y'all should notice about that hieroglyph? Come on, because this is going to bring us full circle and we shutting it down. It's the last part of the video. Okay. A cross. So the first thing we notice is a cross is on it. The first thing we notice is a cross. Okay. So the hieroglyph for Nefer is a cross with something on the bottom of it. Right? It's a cross and it got something on it. Right? Now let's look up and see what it is. Let's see what it actually is supposed to be there. Okay. The Egyptian hieroglyph for perfect and complete, good and pleasant. Okay, so hold up. Let's double back now. So not only does it mean beautiful, right? Hold up. Not only does it mean beautiful, but it also means perfect. So now that we got the word perfect, we have a reference to who? We have a reference to Osiris, to Asar, to Usia. That's a breadcrumb, right? Beautiful also means perfect. Let's keep digging. Y'all know how we do, right? Let's keep digging. right? Okay. The hieroglyph is a triliteral Egyptian hieroglyph and has sometimes been explained as a representation of a lute. However, Egyptologists no longer consider this hypothesis likely. Rather than the lute, the hieroglyph is actually what? The heart and the trachea. It originally may have been the esophagus and the heart. The striations of the windpipe only appear in the hieroglyph following the Old Kingdom. The lower part of the sign has always clearly been the heart, with markings following the form of a sheep's heart. Okay, so that's a lot right there. So, before we go to unpacking and going crazy, so if we ask the Netcher, if we ask the Netters, if we ask the Netchers, if we ask the Kemetic people what's beautiful, the heart. We back to anatomy again. So you ain't got to take my word for it. The most beautiful thing that could be captured was your anatomy. And within the anatomy, the heart. So much so that the heart literally is the word for it. It's the symbol for it. For beautiful. And it's not a word with it's not like a letter with a phoneme. This is what it is. Right? This is what it is. Right? And so now we have, now watch this now, because this is getting ready to get crazy. So, what? Right, exactly. The most beautifulest thing in the world is just like that. I get in you. That's why they left the heart in the body. But wait a minute. Hold on. Because we done already established what about the heart? We done already established something about the heart. We already established that the heart this is the heart and that the heart is Christ. It's going to hit you in a second. This is the heart. We have already established that the heart is Christ. Or that the heart represents Christ. Okay, it's going to hit you in a second. So Christ is fixed to in Kemet. Christ is fixed to a So now we know why. Now we know why in the New Testament, Christ is hung from a cross. Now we know why Christ is hung from a cross. Because the Bible is a new version of the Papyrus of Annie. Let that sink in. I'll let y'all have that for the day. Hit the Cash App, hit the like, hit the subscribe, join the Patreon, join the movement, support the research.